welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. This is Ashley Yu, and I'm here to run through all of the games that happened in Europe this week, including the quarter-final first legs of the UEFA Champions League and the UEFA Europa League, and seeing where that leaves the ties heading into the second legs next week. So first up on Tuesday night we had the Champions League quarter-final first legs. First up it was Real Madrid against Liverpool at the Real Madrid's training ground called the Estadio French Puskas, I think it is called. But Real Madrid won 3-1 to give themselves an advantage heading into the second leg at Anfield next week. Real Madrid were much the better side in this tie, dominated Liverpool in that first half. Don't think Liverpool had a shot on goal at all in that first half. And Madrid deservedly led 2-0 at the break. First up it was Vinicius who opened the scoring, latching onto a long ball, I think it was from Toni Kroos, before out-sprinting the Liverpool defence to score past Alisson. And then they doubled their lead a few minutes later through Marco Asensio after a shocking mistake by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trying to head the ball back to his own goalkeeper, it fell short, and there was Asensio to nip in the head of the goalkeeper for a tap-in into an empty net. And 2-0, you felt like Real Madrid were going to pretty much seal this tie even before the second leg next week. But Liverpool got one back early in the second half through Mohamed Salah with a shot that deflected in off the crossbar. It wasn't the most tidiest of finishes, but I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and his boys won't care. And 2-1, you felt with that away goal that they could gain some bit of foothold, but Real Madrid re-established their 2-goal lead around the midway point of the second half through Vinicius again. After a ball in from the byline was cut back to him, and he finished past the goalkeeper, who probably should have saved the shot, but it went in off the post. And 3-1, same scoreline as in the 2018 final. Even though Real Madrid may feel they have control of the tie, Liverpool's away goal means that if they just score 2 goals without reply next week, then Jurgen Klopp's side will be through to the semi-finals. But that's easier said than done, given how poor they were defensively in this first leg. They really need to tighten up at the back if they want to have any chance of going through next week. And judging by how poor they were in that first half, it looks very unlikely that they could do it. I know they've performed miracles at Anfield in the past, but that was with fans in the stadium. So the fact there's not going to be any there next week makes it more difficult for them to really have a go at turning this tie around. But you just never know with this team. This is the only competition that they could win this season, so it's all on the line next week for them. And if they perform to their usual standards, which they haven't really done in these last few weeks, then they could turn this tie around and make the semi-finals. So you just never know. But for now, Real Madrid have the advantage, are well in control of this tie. And then the second quarter-final tie on Tuesday night was Manchester City against Borussia Dortmund. City were heavy favourites when the draw was made, and even though they managed to get a 2-1 victory in the end, but not many people really expected Dortmund to still be in it, given how poor they've been defensively and in the Bundesliga as well. They're still some way off finishing in the Champions League spot, and they too will have designs on trying to win this competition to get back into next season's Champions League. But they're not really one of the favourites, Dortmund. They're rank outsiders, and they'll be happy with their efforts from this game, given how superior Manchester City are to them. Dortmund did start well actually in this game. I think they had a couple of chances early on. Jude Bellingham with a shot went just over, and before City opened the scoring after a mistake by Emre Can, the ball was fired into the area, and I think Jesus pulled it back to De Bruyne, who slotted it past the keeper. And you felt at that point that City were just going, the floodgates were going to open and City might score 2 or 3 and put this tie out of Dortmund's reach. But to their credit, the black and yellows stayed in the game tie for as long as possible. Even though City did have chances to extend their lead, but Dortmund kept plugging away and they got their rewards with a few minutes left through Marco Reus with a potentially crucial away goal. He exchanged passes with Erling Haaland and then slotted it past the keeper. And at that moment, you felt that City might... Here we go again with Manchester City at the quarter-final stage of the Champions League, where they've been knocked out in the last 3 seasons under Pep Guardiola. But to their credit, City picked themselves up and got themselves what could be a vital late winner through Phil Foden, who was brilliant in this game. De Bruyne crossed into the area for Ilkay Gundogan, who passed to Phil Foden, who finished past the keeper first time. And even though 2-1 is an advantage for City heading into the second leg in Dortmund, it's still very much tie live. And if Dortmund can play as well as they did or better, then they could knock out the favourites next week. But given the two sides' form domestically and how well they've performed in the Champions League this season, you still get the feeling that City will finish the job done next week. But you just never know. A 1-0 win for Dortmund will be enough for them. And we say 1-0, but Dortmund aren't very good defensively, so they may need to score more. But they are capable of doing just that, as we've seen with their attacking talent they have up top. So who knows what might happen. You just get the feeling that this could be the year that City break through that quarter-final barrier and finally make the semi-finals. And then moving on to Wednesday night's ties, the standout tie of the round was Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain, a repeat of last season's final in Lisbon, which Bayern Munich won. And the Germans were favourites heading into this tie, given how superior they were to Paris Saint-Germain, who've been struggling domestically in Ligue 1, losing already 8 times this season. But they belied their status as underdogs to come out with a victory in Munich, which you may feel will surprise a lot of people, but given the potential that PSG have these days, then it's not really much of a surprise. I mean, they dispatched Barcelona 4-1 at the Nou Camp, and there was every chance they could do the same to Bayern Munich, particularly early on when they took an early lead through Kylian Mbappe with a shot that squeezed past Manuel Neuer at his near post. The goalkeeper really should have saved that. And then PSG doubled their lead midway through the first half through Marquinhos, of all people, after a defensive howler really by the Bayern Munich backline. I mean, they came out and tried to play the offside trap, and then Neymar fired the ball over their defence into Marquinhos, who was onside, and he finished calmly past Neuer. And 2-0, you felt that it was Bayern Munich had it all to do, but they pulled a goal back just before half-time through Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, who played for Paris Saint-Germain in last season's competition, who, after crossing from Kimmich, I think it was, and Choupo-Moting headed it past the keeper, and 2-1, it was game on. And from there, really, Bayern Munich just took over, dominated the game, but missed a whole load of chances before they equalised them through Thomas Müller after a free kick into the box. And you felt with their domination that Bayern Munich could completely turn the tie around and give themselves an advantage heading into the second leg in Paris. But back came PSG and Mbappe, whose second goal of the game and PSG's third was a thing of beauty, really. Picked up the ball on the left and took it towards Jerome Boateng and then just nutmegged him to finish past Neuer. And 3-2 Paris Saint-Germain. You still felt Bayern Munich weren't done yet. They still had more to give. They had 31 shots, I think, in the whole game, and yet they only scored 2 goals. Probably because Lewandowski wasn't playing, because I bet if he was, he probably would have finished a few of them. But as a result, the game ended 3-2 to Paris Saint-Germain. It's a brilliant result for them, but there's still the second leg to play in Paris, and we still believe that Bayern can still believe that they can turn this tie around and get themselves through to the semi-finals, particularly given how PSG's have performed at home this season. They haven't been that great. Manchester United have won there in the group stage, deservedly so, and Barcelona could have won there in the last 16. So it's not over yet by any means, but PSG with that 3-2 advantage, it means that Bayern Munich have to score at least twice in Paris to have any chance of staying in the competition, and they are more than capable of doing that, even without the likes of Lewandowski and Gnabry, who've been ruled out for the second leg. But you just never know with Bayern Munich, given how good they are, that on any given day, regardless of who they've got in their team, that they could turn up and really put a marker down or two. So it's not over yet, but as far as we all know, it's advantage Paris Saint-Germain, and we look forward to seeing who will go through next week from this tie in Paris. And then the final tie on Wednesday night of the quarterfinals is Porto against Chelsea. It was a relatively favourable draw for Chelsea, and they made it look very comfortable, even at a neutral venue in Seville, where both legs of this tie will be played actually. So no home advantage, but I'm sure it doesn't really matter for both sides. Didn't really matter for Chelsea really, given even though Porto had the better chances, Chelsea were more clinical. Mason Mount put them ahead just after the half-hour mark actually, with a finish across the goalkeeper. Maybe the keeper should have saved it. And then Chelsea stood firm until right near the end, when, of all people, Ben Chilwell doubled their lead with a brilliant individual goal. He capitalised on a mistake by the Porto left back, and then just run into the area, rounded the keeper and slotted it into an empty net. And 2-0, I mean, even though Porto might feel they still have a chance, it's not really, I don't think they'll have enough really to cause an upset and turn this tie around. So it looks like Chelsea will be through to the semi-finals, and Porto will be out. So looks like tie done for me in this one, even though it's only 2-0. And then moving on to Thursday night's Europa League ties, quarterfinal first legs. First up, it was Arsenal against Slavia Prague. Many viewed this as a difficult tie for Arsenal, given how well Slavia have performed in this season's competition, knocking out two British sides in Leicester City and Rangers to get this far, and they proved once again how difficult they'll be to beat. Even though Arsenal had the better chances in this game, they didn't really perform to their potential, the Gunners, and it took them until like the 86th minute to finally break through. Nicolas Pepe with a brilliant dinked finish over the keeper, and you felt that was enough for them to take an advantage to the Czech Republic. But as Arsenal have done of late, they concede an unnecessary corner, and Slavia delivered the ball in, and there was Thomas Holes, I think his name was, who popped up at the back post to head in what could prove to be a crucial away goal for the Czech champions. And 1-1 is not a very good result for Arsenal, because they now need to score in the Czech Republic to stand any chance of going through. So still on the knife edge this one, but Arsenal still feel confident that they could get the job done next week. And then the other British side in action on Thursday night were Manchester United, arguably the favourites to win this season's competition, and they cruised really to a 2-0 victory over a very limited Granada team. United were much the better side, but didn't take until the half-hour mark to open the scoring through Marcus Rashford, who slotted the ball past the keeper after a brilliant diagonal ball from Victor Lindelof. And you felt at that point that United were going to run away with it and pretty much end this first leg as a tie and end this tie, but they didn't. They had to wait until like near the end of the game to add a second from the penalty spot through Bruno Fernandes after a foul by one of the Granada defenders. Very unnecessary it was, and even though it wasn't the best spot kick that he's taken, Bruno Fernandes still scored because the goalkeeper couldn't get down quickly enough to make the save, and it squirmed into the corner. And there United had their 2-0 win, which looks like it's going to be enough for them to make the semi-finals. Granada played well, actually, I felt. They had a few chances, mainly through Kennedy from range, that didn't really test the keeper, really, and their lack of quality really showed in this tie, and it looks like they'll be out of this competition by next week. And then the other two ties to take place, first was a very mouth-watering clash between Iax and Roma. Iax lost 2-1 to give themselves a bit of a mountain to climb heading into the second leg in Rome. But they did take the lead through David Klaassen after miscommunication in defence. I think it was Mancini who didn't take the risk of trying to challenge the Klaassen, I think it was, and Klaassen then received a return ball from, I think it was Dusan Tadic, and he slotted it into an empty net, and Ajax had what was at that point a deserved lead for them, and they should have doubled their lead early in the second half from the penalty spot after a foul on the edge of the area, but Dusan Tadic tried to be clever and tried to send the goalkeeper down, send the ball down the middle and hope that the goalkeeper went the wrong way, but instead the keeper stood his ground and made the save. Tadic was left to regret that miss a few minutes later when Roma equalised for a scrappy goal, really. Pellegrini with a free kick from the edge of the box that looked innocuous for the goalkeeper. He should have made the save, really, but he went to his left far too much and the ball squirmed in by his other side, and Roma had their away goal, and you just felt that it took the sting out of Ajax because they didn't really create that many chances thereafter, and Roma then stole a late winner through, I think it was Ibanez, with a brilliant volley from a corner, chested it like a striker and fired it into the roof of the net, and Roma had a very good victory, which means that they're in the driving seat to make the semi-finals next week. But it's still all to play for in this tie, I feel. And then the final ties was Dinamo Zagreb versus Villarreal. Villarreal won 1-0 in Croatia to take a big step towards the semi-finals. Very professional performance from Unai Emery and his team. The only goal came just before half-time from the penalty spot after a foul by handball, I think it was by Tilafili Katerine. And Dinamo didn't really offer much thereafter, and they have a mountain to climb to make it to the semi-finals. But as we saw in the last round against Tottenham, anything is possible, so it's still far from done in this tie. And then and so that's it for my review of all of this week's European ties. So I think most of the ties look to be wide open heading into the second legs, and it'll be interesting to see how many of those first leg leagues will be overturned. But you just get the feeling that some teams are starting to get into their rhythm, starting to get into their shape as we head into the business end of both competitions, and we'll find out which teams will make the last four of both competitions next week, which I'll preview later on sometime early next week. So I hope you enjoyed this video as usual. Hope you enjoyed watching my content, and I look forward to seeing you all soon for another of these videos. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you all soon as always. I'm out of here.